Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to session number 316 of Kevin Reed's A Course in Miracles. We are in the Workbook for Students, part 2. All right, it's the part of the 365 lessons, but in part 2 we find interspersed among the lessons, there are 14, I think, questions. This is question 7. What is the Holy Spirit? All righty. Remember that this is, it comes to us in an ego framework, which means we have to use words. Okay? And these words happen to be very poetic, filled with metaphor and symbolism. With that in mind, let us begin. What is the Holy Spirit? The Holy Spirit mediates between illusions and the truth. Since he must bridge the gap between reality and dreams, perception leads to knowledge through the grace that God has given him, to be his gift to everyone who turns to him for truth. Across the bridge that he provides are dreams all carried to the truth, to be dispelled before the light of knowledge. There are sights and sounds forever laid aside, and where they were perceived before, forgiveness has made possible perception's tranquil end. The goal the Holy Spirit's teaching sets is just this end of dreams. For sights and sounds must be translated from the witnesses of fear to those of love. And when this is entirely accomplished, learning has achieved the only goal it has in truth. For learning, as the Holy Spirit guides it to the outcome he perceives for it, becomes the means to go beyond itself, to be replaced by the eternal truth. If you but knew how much your Father yearns to have you recognize your sinlessness, you would not let his voice appeal in vain, nor turn away from his replacement for the fearful images and dreams you made. The Holy Spirit understands the means you made by which you would attain what is forever unattainable. And if you offer them to him, he will employ the means you made for exile to restore your mind to where it truly is at home. From knowledge, where he has been placed by God, the Holy Spirit calls to you to let forgiveness rest upon your dreams and be restored to sanity and peace of mind. Without forgiveness will your dreams remain to terrify you, and the memory of all your Father's love will not return to signify the end of dreams has come. Accept your Father's gift. It is a call from love to love, that it be but itself. The Holy Spirit is his gift, by which the quietness of heaven is restored to God's beloved Son. Would you refuse the functioning of completing God, when all he wills is that you be complete? Okay, so what is the Holy Spirit? The Holy Spirit in the Course in Miracles has a lot of different names. All right. Here he's called the mediator. He's a mediator. All right. And, the mediator stands in the middle, the medium, the media. All right. So he mediates between illusions and truth. Right? Here we are existing in illusions. All right. And we go to the Holy Spirit and we say, could you, help me to see this differently. Help me to see it correctly. Can you correct my illusion? All right. And he mediates now between the truth and illusion. Excuse me. All right. Since he must bridge the gap between reality and dreams, perception leads to knowledge through the grace that God has given him. Right? To be his gift to everyone who turns to him for truth. All right. Since he must bridge the gap, since the Holy Spirit is the mediator, he bridges the gap, right, between reality and dreams. All right? Reality is our true existence, which we never left, but we're dreaming. Okay. So he bridges the gap. All right. And when we go to that part of the mind in which the Holy Spirit resides, and we ask, help me to see this correctly. Help me to see the truth, any way you want to put it. What does love look like in this situation? All right. Any way you want to put it, all right? Our perceptions that we're trying to correct, our perceptions will lead to knowledge eventually. The perceptions will lead to knowledge through the grace God has given him. Right? Across the bridge that he provides, our dreams all carry to the truth, to be dispelled before the light of knowledge. There are sights and sounds forever laid aside. And where they were perceived before, forgiveness has made possible perception's tranquil end. I mean, it's just beautiful. I didn't want to rip it up again. So when we go to the Holy Spirit, all right, and we're willing to see correctly, we're willing to see differently, we're willing to see the truth, all right, we're on that bridge that he provides. All right, and all our misperceptions, all our dreams, I mean, whatever specific dream we're bringing to him at the time, right, they're carried across to the truth, right? And our illusions, our dream is dispelled in the light of truth. In other words, our perception is corrected, right? And we keep doing this and keep practicing this, because our tendency to still wish that we were individuals, right? Our fear of letting go of this symbol of individuality, right, brings us into the dream again. As Jesus says, we detour into fear, right? It seems like we go back and forth, right? And that's the way it seems. So while it seems that way, when we realize we're using the ego thought system, we can stop and ask ourselves, do I really want to continue with this? Right? Or do I want to get on that bridge to where all these illusions are changed into truth? Right? And that's the process of forgiveness. That's the process of forgiveness. That's what he means, that where these sights and sounds, everything that our senses report to us, where they were perceived before, forgiveness has made possible perception's tranquil end. All right? Forgiveness, it's the process of saying, oh, wait, I'm using the ego's thought system. I don't want that anymore. And I come into my mind and I just ask the Holy Spirit. It's like I'm saying recently, I make a report. I'm willing to see correctly. I'm willing to see what the truth is about this situation. I'm willing to see the truth about that person. Right? And through that process, we continue to do that, perception will have a tranquil end. Right? As Jesus says, nobody is lifted up and abruptly hurled into heaven. But that's the process of forgiveness, which this text, which these three books constantly refer to. All right? So, paragraph 2, the goal the Holy Spirit's teaching sets is just this end of dreams. So that's the goal of the Holy Spirit's teaching, is the end of dreams. So I keep bringing up pieces of the dream to have them retranslated, to have my perception translated. Okay. And I keep doing that until I have this really fine quality shift in my awareness. And it will happen. Right? And it's like you say, mastery is not necessary. You don't have to master the text or lessons or anything. Right? The only thing that's necessary is willingness. Am I willing to see this person differently? Am I willing to see the truth about this person? Am I willing to see the innocence? Right? Am I willing to see past whatever disguise they have picked out and see their true essence? All right? So the goal of the Holy Spirit's teaching is just this end of dreams. For sights and sounds must be translated from the witnesses of fear to those of love. So everything my senses report to me, if my mind is unchecked, they're going to witness to the fearful nature of existence. All right? They are witnesses to fear. All right? But when I'm willing to see them correctly, I have them translated by the Holy Spirit. All right? They turn into witnesses of love. Right? And you see it in your everyday routine or your everyday interactions with people. If you truly desire to give up projections of guilt and you're willing to see the truth, it will arise in your awareness. All right? Because all the things that our senses report must be translated from fear to love. All right? And remember, Jesus tells you, everybody that comes here is uncertain, lonely, and in constant fear. And when this is entirely accomplished, all right, translating into from fear to love, when this is entirely accomplished, learning has achieved the only goal that it has. Right? There's no more need to learn. Once all of my perceptions have been translated into truth, once all my projections of guilt have been retracted, all right, and translated, and I become aware of the truth, because that's all we wanted to teach. All right? That's all you need to know. Class dismissed. Everybody gets an A. All right? So when this is entirely accomplished, learning has achieved the only goal it has in truth. For learning, as the Holy Spirit guides it to the outcome he perceives for it, becomes the means to go beyond itself, to go beyond, to be replaced by the eternal truth. All right? The learning only goes so far. And then, all right, once we have learned to translate fear into love, all right, now the Holy Spirit, it becomes the means to go beyond that, right? To be replaced by the eternal truth, right? It's a small step, so to speak, to move into the eternal truth. Paragraph 3, if you but knew how much your Father yearns to have you recognize your sinlessness, you would not let his voice appeal in vain, nor turn away from his replacement for the fearful images and dreams you made. All right? So if you could only grasp, all right. Now, once again, this is metaphor and symbolism. How much the Father yearns to have you recognize your sinlessness. Right? To have you realize you never left the mind that thought of you. Right? If you only knew how wonderful that was, you would not let the voice appeal in vain. So just by the presence of the Holy Spirit in the mind, just by the presence of the memory of who you really are, that memory of who you really are is constantly calling you. It's constantly calling you to come home. Okay? So, if you only knew how great it is, all right, you wouldn't let his voice appeal in vain, nor turn away from his replacement for the fearful images and dreams you made. Holy Spirit will replace all the fear, all the fearful images and dreams. The Holy Spirit understands the means that you made by which you would attain what is forever unattainable. So the Holy Spirit understands the belief in separation and everything that comes with it, and the miscreation of the body. All right? He says he understands all that. All right? He understands the means you made by which you would attain something that's unattainable. This is the attempt to attain individuality. Right? Individuality with the power of the mind. And it still have the same power that God has. Right? He says, but you're trying to achieve something, you're trying to attain something that's unattainable. You're trying to attain separation from the mind that thought of you. Right. And if you offer them to him, he will employ the means you made for exile, to restore your mind to where it truly is at home. This is just another repetition of the idea that the Holy Spirit, right, symbolized by Jesus in the world, all right, the memory of who you are, can use everything that I have made in the ego. Everything. People, places, things, body. Everything can be used, right, to bring us home to the truth. And if you offer them to him, He will employ the means you made for exile to restore your mind to where it truly is at home. All right? He'll use people, places, and things. All right? Just so we don't scare ourselves. All right? From knowledge, where he has been placed by God, the Holy Spirit calls to you. To let forgiveness rest upon your dreams and be restored to sanity and peace of mind. So the Holy Spirit sits in that realm of knowledge and yet is able to understand everything that we're doing, right? And not condemn us for it. Right? He knows it's not true. He knows it's unattainable, and he knows that we are imagining this. So he uses everything that we imagine to come back and remember the truth. And if you offer all these things to him, whatever it is, help me to see it correctly. I'm willing to see it correctly. All right? He will employ the means you made to restore your mind to where it truly is in truth, because he sits in knowledge. From knowledge, where he has been placed by God, the Holy Spirit calls to you. Let forgiveness rest upon your dreams and be restored to sanity and peace of mind. And that's the process of forgiveness, realizing that I don't want this projection anymore. I'm willing to have it translated. Help me to see correctly. So that's letting forgiveness rest upon the dreams. And as we do that, we are restored to sanity and peace of mind. And it's, in my experience, and I can't speak for the rest of the world, but it seems like it's, one step at a time, piece by piece. It seems to be that, all right? But even as Jesus would say, in the text, that at some point you realize that there's a smile on your face more often than not, all right? Your furrowed brow is relaxed. Even the people that know you they feel more comfortable around you. All right? Because you're not that grumpy guy screaming, "Get off my lawn." You become mellower, milder, as we have all these things translated into truth and giving us peace of mind. To let forgiveness rest upon your dreams and be restored to sanity and peace of mind. Without forgiveness, all right, your dreams will remain to terrify you. Without that process of having everything retranslated, your dreams will remain to terrify you until you say there must be a better way. And the memory of all your Father's love will not return to signify the end of dreams has come. All right? So without that process of forgiveness, without going to the right mind and asking, "Help me, I'm willing to see correctly." All right? He says, without that, your dreams will remain to terrify you. Now that's not saying that what I just described is the only way. All right? It's not. There are many truly spiritual paths that will say the same things but in different ways, just using different words. They won't use the words of Christianity, which Jesus does. One of the things he wanted to do with the Course was to correct the mistakes of 2,000 years of Christianity. Right? And people interpreting it, using it for their own, their own desires. Right? Which is obviously what's happening still. Right? But this is not the only path. It's just the path that I have chosen, and those of you who like to study the Course and listen with me, right? You've chosen that path also, but it's not the only path. And the other paths will tell you the same things, but use different words, different terminology. All right? So without forgiveness will your dreams remain to terrify you. And the memory of all your Father's love will not return to signify the end of dreams has come. Then he says, accept your Father's gift. Accept that memory of who you are. Accept the Holy Spirit. Right? Accept your Father's gift. Right? It is a call from love to love. That it be but itself. It's a call from love to love. That love is just itself. Just let it be. That is what you are. All right? And that's what we want to demonstrate in the world. Teach only love, for that is what you are. Accept your Father's gift. It is a call from love to love, that it be but itself. The Holy Spirit is his gift, by which the quietness of heaven is restored to God's beloved Son. All right? By using that Holy Spirit to help us retranslate everything we thought was true. Help me to see correctly. All right. You will see, sooner or later you'll see, oh yeah, that's different. Might not be a big deal, but it was a big deal to you. All right? You might have had an argument with a person, and you really were sure about how despicable they were. And then at some point it dawns on you, I don't want to keep it that way. Because first of all, I see this person 2 or 3 times a week. And every time I see him, I have to remember that. Oh yeah, I hate him. That's ridiculous. And then you have to defend yourself against what he might say or do. And it's a never-ending battle. All right? Of attack and defend. It gets tiresome. All right? So accept your Father's gift. Accept that mediator. I'm willing to see my neighbor. I'm willing to see him correctly. I'm willing to see the whole situation, right, through the eyes of peace. Right? However you want to put it in words. Be your own poet. The Holy Spirit knows what you want. All right? He doesn't walk around with a little red pen marking your requests. You spelled that wrong. Request denied. It's not like that. The Holy Spirit is the Father's gift, the Creator's gift, the primal source. All right, gives us this gift of memory of who we are. All right. So the Holy Spirit is His gift, by which the quietness of heaven is restored to God's beloved Son, which is you. You imagine the quietness of heaven being restored to your mind. the awareness, the expansiveness, the safety. He said, would you refuse to take the function of completing God? Because that's the function, is to accept that peace, to accept the innocence. Right? And in that process, you accept your own innocence. Right? And when you do that, you are completing God. You realize you never left the mind that thought of you. In other words, just because we got to use words, you're completing God. So would you refuse to take the function of completing God when all he wills is that you be complete? The only thing that God wills is that you recognize your innocence, that you are innocent. You recognize that you never left the mind that thought of you. You never sinned, in other words. You are totally innocent. And with that awareness comes the stillness of heaven and the awareness of your Creator and your relationship with your Creator. Right. And that's what the Holy Spirit does for us. Helps us get to that point. Because when we get to that point, Holy Spirit's not necessary anymore. The mediator is not necessary anymore. Jesus is not necessary anymore. There's only you and the oneness. And if it's scary, bring that to the Holy Spirit. All right? Everybody's scared of being, as Dr. Wapnick would say, of being a nebbish. All right? Of being nothing. All right? But losing this, in other words, and everything that's near and dear to you. It's not going to happen that way. It's not going to happen that way with the translation of everything into peace and innocence and tranquility. All right? And that's what the Holy Spirit helps us to do. He mediates between illusions and the truth. And when the truth dawns on us, everything has changed. As Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran would say, everything has changed. All right, thank you for putting up with my tangents. And I will see you in the next question. All righty, bye.